welcome to I guess what I'm going to call another attempt at at trying to make one of these. I'm not really sure what I'm going to end up calling it, and probably the only reason I'm saying another attempt is if you've been on this channel, you've probably seen two rather bad versions of these. But yeah, this is going to be something I want to try to do. Basically, I'm going to try to find some stuff generally that I care about. It's probably going to be a lot of video game related stuff, and just talk about it, really, because we all know that the internet, especially YouTube, needs more of that, right? Everybody needs to talk about stuff and just upload it to the internet, because that's what YouTube's for. Anyway, so yeah, I've done a couple of these in the past, and they weren't bad. I don't know. I kind of think I'm a little bit more probably more critical over it than I probably should be. But anywho, I kind of stopped doing them. I kind of stopped doing a lot of stuff. I don't really know if I really need to go into that. Talked a lot about it on twitch.tv/justjoe. Same thing. Probably going to be in the description or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, long story short, took a pretty long break from making video, streaming, all that stuff, and I'm kind of back on it. New name, kind of a fresh start for me. I know I've done that before in the past and still didn't end up doing as good as I wanted to, or didn't really stay on it. I wasn't really the content's fault, it was really me. I'm gonna try to not do that this time. Try to actually make some stuff. Part of the reason why I'm making this, because I have to be I have to travel for work in exactly, well, I have to be up to travel for work in about 4 hours, and I can't sleep. So I was like, why not be productive and make some stuff? Makes sense, right? So yeah, there's that. Anywho, basically what I'm trying to do with the show is try to just grab stuff that I think is worth talking about. And I'll say that as of right now, there's really not a lot of stuff, but didn't want to use that as an excuse not to make anything, you know? But yeah, just try to find some stuff that actually I think is interesting, or I think is at least noteworthy, and maybe give my opinion on it, shed a little perspective. I feel like gaming industry anyway, especially, is like extremely polarizing. Like you can almost guess exactly what the reaction of every little thing is going to be from like the general populace, which is a little weird to me. You would think that it would kind of be, you'd see both sides of stuff, but you really don't, or at least either a majority. It could be a majority thing, and maybe I'm in the minority. We'll find out. We'll find out from all the comments and whatnot from this video or the videos coming. I think what I would like to do is find a couple like little small stories that are just worth kind of noting, and then pick one that I think is worth like taking some time and digging into. There is this thing which I think is pretty funny. I'm glad I didn't skip over it. There was let me see if I can click off of that, or if I could just go back to this. Nope, not gonna let me. That's cool. So there's a game, I guess coming out on Steam, that it says a mysterious new game promises a Bitcoin to the first person who beats it. I don't like, this is not the first time somebody's like tried to be like Monte Crypto, is that the name of the game, the Bitcoin Enigma? All right, the game costs $2. A single Bitcoin is currently worth a little over 9. Jesus fucking Christ. One interesting clue that we have been given. I like these things. I'm trying to remember what the game was that did this first, or it was. I don't think it was. They didn't offer a reward. It was more of like, oh no, this game's real hard, man. It's so hard. And then like almost no one was able to beat it. And eventually people looked into it and they're like, oh no, this game isn't hard. Like you just can't beat it. Like there wasn't a degree of like, oh no, you just literally can't do it. Which I thought was pretty hilarious, because it's just blatantly developers like, I'm gonna take these people's money and give them a piece of shit, and people were like, oh fuck yeah. I think this was during the heart of like when Dark Souls was like a big thing. I think Dark Souls 3 or 2 just came out, and like people were like, oh man, this is a real RPG, a real game, and it's like some really crappy like 8-bit bullshit. Which I'm not going to go into that. I feel like there's enough documented video of me talking on InfoSauce about how my avid hate of that trend of 8-bit video games. But yeah, there was somewhere, I wish I remember what the name of the game was. And now we have this game, which is essentially trying to sell us on the exact same thing. Let's see this.
In the heart of Monte Crypto, folded into labyrinthine veins, the walls draw in breath of frustrated cries.
Oh, no, I take that back. Oh God.
The treasure lures the brave
fucking
to the light.
QR codes.
The wise in numbers.
Oh my God.
The overconfident alone.
I will say this
Many
though.
tour the maze.
It does at least look like they
Only one makes
they may actually come clean, like come through on their deal. Just the only reason I'm saying that is because like it doesn't seem as though doesn't seem like they're going for a scam here. Or I mean, it could be. It just seems like there's actual real world like stuff in there. Like I think I saw something that had to do with Facebook or whatever. No, it was just colors. They got me. That's how they're gonna get everybody. They just put the colors in there. People are gonna think it's Facebook and think it's gonna be legit. I feel like little gimmick games like this, they're not bad in theory, but it's like the whole crowdfunding thing. Like, great idea until someone fucks it up, and then it fucks it up for everybody. The moment, like, if this is a genuine thing, great, awesome, more power to you. If this is like some kind of scam to just like put a $2 game out on Steam and have it be extremely popular, great. I mean, well, not great, but like it sucks. That's really, really shitty. It's a really shitty thing to do. Don't do that. I don't know, Monte Crypto. I don't know who your developer is. Pretty sure it says that in February 10th on Steam. Doesn't tell me who makes it. Who's this? I don't know. Doesn't say it. All right, whoever you are, don't. This better not be a scam. I'm gonna be really upset with you if you do that, because you're gonna really fuck over a lot of people who could do some really cool stuff. Where like they can say first person that wins this game will like get something. Like I think really genuine challenging things like that, or like maybe the first 100 people or whatever. That's not a bad way to market your game, especially in an age where marketing takes up so much of the cost of really developing a game. So don't be a dick. You're all eyes are on you right now. Don't fuck this up for everybody else. I'm gonna use this as, I guess, the launch point for this. So essentially, this is an article from Polygon. You see Polygon on top there. There's a senator who's essentially calling for. We'll just read the title, Joe. If you just read the title, it'll explain it. It calls on a video game rating board to examine loot box practices, which, if you were paying attention to this whole Star Wars fiasco, I'm beating up my mic again. If you were paying attention to this whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco, it was essentially an outcry of some people who were not happy with the fact that the cost of having to buy characters in the game, unlocking characters like Darth Vader, iconic characters that people obviously want to play, versus the time to unlock them. So versus the monetary value versus the actual time it would take for you to unlock them by playing the game. And that caused a huge thing, which I find it funny that this is the game that people decided to really complain about when stuff like this has been going on for years, literally years. Like I don't know why people only now are just like, I've had enough. But this was kind of the starting point of all this. And I remember when all of that was being discussed, people would have lawyers come up on their podcasts and like on their YouTube videos, and they were talking about the legality of stuff like this. Is this gambling? If it is gambling, then there should be like regulations and stuff like that. And the hard thing that initially was the case was it's hard to pinpoint some of this stuff as gambling because these things really don't have like, it's hard to give something that doesn't have a monetary value. And say, for instance, I spend $20, buy a bunch of loot boxes in Overwatch, and I get a legendary skin. Well, how much does that legendary skin, how much is that worth? There's no real way to like say that. I did hear somebody come up with an interesting way of trying to assign monetary value to them. Basically, it was under the premise of like, if you were to say a box costs $1, and you cut up the odds of buying of what you can get in that box. Problem is, there's a bunch of different tiers for that stuff, but you cut up the rarity. So, say for instance, the rarity of getting a legendary was like 0.9% or something like that. Or to make it simple for myself, let's say it was 1%. Then you would inverse that percentage as a monetary value and add that up and about how many times you would need to buy a loot box. I'm not making any sense. I'm rambling at this point. If you understand what I'm saying, more power to you. I'm gonna move on. Anywho, people are actually looking at that as far as an actual legal practice, which to me, I guess, it just as this thing says, it raises a lot of concerns for me personally, just because I don't think that the practice of microtransactions is bad. And my fear is that if regulation starts to kind of come down on some of these companies, a lot of games just won't get made. And that's where I'm kind of coming from with this. Is like, so say for instance, EA could not put microtransactions in their in Battlefront 2. Okay, we'll just assume that they like there's some regulation or whatever, AAA company, whatever, they can't put it in the game. The problem I see that with that comes is, and this is just an estimate, and I'm going to dig into this in a second. I actually want to figure out if my theory on this is correct. So my thought process is, from the time that games first started costing $60, the cost of making a game has only gone up, while the price has stayed exactly the same. For a AAA game that you would walk into a Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, on Steam day one, like pick up for $60. So if the cost of making the game has risen, but the actual cost that they're allowed, well, I wouldn't say allowed, but the social norm of what they can charge you hasn't, that's not good, because that means that there's a lot of companies that are like, all right, we're going to be selling this game at a huge loss. How can we make up that loss? Well, one of the ways to make up that loss would be with microtransactions. Fair. Like at this point in this sentence, fair. Or this train of thought, this seems fine to me. It wouldn't. The other solution, I guess, would be to raise the price of your game, which no one's going to get away with that. The moment somebody does that, there's going to be so much outcry. Like no company is going to be able to do that. So I think that the microtransaction economy is fine. Is a fine compromise. However, sometimes you get some companies, EA's unfortunately one of them in the crosshairs, that they start to look at the profit that a game makes over the actual game. And that enters some really gray, muddy, dirty waters, because it's like, all right, as a company, they do need to make money, and I'm not going to fault them for that. But when their means of making money ruins the actual game, then you kind of there's a balance that probably needs to be made. Not problem, definitely needs to be made there. So let's take a look at this article. So basically, Hawaii legislator introduced proposals to regulate video games that employ loot box systems and associate microtransactions as scenario gotten involved. Turn to the lens to North America's Video Games Rating Board. Okay. The prevalence of the game. Yep, that's cool. Also urge board to examine So, okay, I did see, this was another thing that somebody brought up was ESRB. So the ESRB board, which I don't have game cases over here because I buy all my shit digitally. I'm assuming most of you know what the ESRB is. If you don't, it's basically that letter that's on your box, the case, or on the right-hand side of Steam whenever you buy something, the rating of a game. Big important thing to note, ESRB is not a legal thing. It's not. There are some legal... there are some laws that use the ESRB, but the ESRB is not made up by a federal or any government like company. It's literally just a board of people who decided we're going to regulate the game industry ourselves so that the government doesn't have to, which, good job, good idea, and it's worked just fine. What somebody thought about with all these games that have loot crates was adding that as a clause to a game that will maybe make it a mature game. So like in thought, you could have a game that's like Mario or Kirby that has loot boxes or loot crates or some kind of microtransaction system in it that would instantly make it mature. Which I don't necessarily think anything is wrong with that per se. I do think that it is a little silly that like a game like that would be mature, but if it's deciding to implement something like that, maybe that's okay. That's something for you guys to hash out in the comments. But really, like my biggest concern with that is like, I don't think that's necessary. I think that people need to be a little bit more responsible with what they're spending. And then there's the argument of little Jimmy who stole his mom's credit card or whatever and makes a transaction. On that, I say, how is he able to steal his mother's credit card? And credit card companies are pretty cool about this stuff. They know, hey, this was not supposed to be purchased. What I think is publishers and company and developers probably need to instate some policies that where things can be refunded or turned back in like a game. So like if I'm buying a Call of Duty, I'm playing Call of Duty, I buy a loot box because I'm an idiot kid, I'm little Timmy, and I stole my mom's credit card and I bought a gun, or I got a gun out of a loot box that I bought. It's tough. Maybe you let little Timmy keep his level. Got to reward him for something, right? He got the card, all right. He fucking Mission Impossible. He got it, all right. He at least gets that, right? But at least you maybe take the gun out of his account. Hell, maybe you suspend the account if you find out that it was stolen. It doesn't need to be a legal thing, in my opinion. I don't think because we're talking about a situation where you have a kid who did something really stupid, but I like the whole fiasco with was it PUBG with the kid that was like cheating or whatever? No, I think it was GTA. Yeah, there was some kid that was cheating and GT. I think the 2K like really came down on top of him with like legal stuff or whatever, and his parents were like going off. I was like, that's messy and stupid, and I don't think that's necessary. I think that this is something that should be handled between the kid, whoever's card he got stolen, and the companies that have to deal with the money. It sucks because no matter how you do it, somebody's going to end up losing, whether it's the credit card company or the publisher. Somebody's not going to really do great there. But maybe you do ban these accounts that do that, or suspend them, or something bad. I'm pretty sure you suspend a kid's account who's playing Call of Duty every fucking day. I assure you, he will not do that thing again. Like it's like you suspend it for like a decent amount of time. I'm talking like a couple months. Like you give him like a 3-month ban. I assure you, he will get back on that game on the 4th month, and he will not do that thing again. And if he does, then just go ahead and ban his account. Just don't see him again. A 2-strike thing is my opinion. I don't like the whole 3-strike thing. That's too many strikes. Anyway, let's keep going. These mechanisms have the same kind of potential for cognitive harm for kids. Since we're talking about kids, I get it. I understand the framework of like, oh, I don't think little Jimmy should be doing something that's so close to gambling, because then he's gonna like acquire a thing for gambling. But to that I say, the same reason why you don't you explain to little Jimmy, hey dude, fucking eating my beard over here. How about we don't smoke cigarettes, or how about we don't do this like addictive thing? Like I feel like wanting like to put laws and regulations on something that you should have just learned as like good values from a decent household is kind of stupid. And I know this sounds like we're putting our big toe into like semi-political talk, which I honestly feel like stuff like this shouldn't really be considered political talk, but whatever, fuck it. But that's not really where I want to go with this conversation. But I say conversation, I don't know, ramble, rant, whatever. Stick that in there and whatever fits. Yeah, like I think that's something that should just be taken care of between like the kid and the companies, or the family of the kid and the companies. Sue me if you disagree. You can yell at me in the comments or whatever. But there was another thing that I wanted to dig into that was somewhat related to this. This was it. Okay, so going back a bit, where I was talking about how the cost of making a game has gone up, but the price has kind of stayed the same. This is a pretty accurate question, in my opinion. Should the cost of things, and I'm on Forbes right now, I'm probably gonna have to get rid of some of this shit because fucking Forbes, I hate them. But still in the EA debacle, and I'm willing to bet that, well, not even willing to bet, I think an article came out about EA's publishing practices or developing practices, or something to do with the way they decided to monetize Battlefront 2. Actually, let's go back even a little bit more in EA's case and how they even acquired Battlefront. So they had a deal with Disney, who owns the rights to this kind of stuff, and they bought it from them for a ridiculous amount. I think it was something $1 billion. Maybe it was million, but it was really expensive. So they buy the rights to this to make their games after Disney buys out Lucas and like fucking just gets rid of the Lucas Game Studio, which fucking stupid. I digress. But yeah, like, so they buy them out. So they're like, all right, here's a contract to EA Games. We'll allow them to make games, make Star Wars games. EA's got to be thinking at this point, we spent a fuck ton of money to buy the rights to this game or this franchise. We got to make this money back. If we release, this is one of the reasons why Star Wars 1313 didn't come out, because how do you make more money off of a game that is just single player? It's really hard. It's damn near impossible, other than making DLC. But if you're making DLC, then you're also developing that DLC. That costs money, and you're now putting yourself further in the hole. That DLC had better be appropriately priced, and people are not going to spend over $20 for like story DLC, I think. So like it's a hard equation, I think, for publishers and developers when deciding the cost of stuff. I don't want to have this just talking out of my ass, because I did look up a little bit ago. I'm gonna see if I can find it here for you. All right. So let's look at some of these games, and I think it's in descending order, or I can make it go in descending order. The beauty of the internet. Yes, this is on Wikipedia. Yes, this stuff could be inaccurate, but let's just assume, just take some privileges here and just assume that this stuff is somewhat accurate. So these numbers are in millions. I believe that they are also adjusted for inflation. Yes, because it says that here. All right, so let's have a look at Pokemon Red and Blue. So what we're going to look at is this. And what you'll see is it's not going to show development costs. However, actually, no, then this is a bad one. Let's do... Oh, Shenmue. Do they have one for Shenmue? Fuck, they don't. Okay, what I'm looking for is one that has. All right, yeah, this is good. We'll look at Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Oh, no, don't want that. Just want this. Okay. So if you look at Modern Warfare 2, you have, this is back in 2009, your development costs, $50. All right? No problem. Your marketing cost is $200 million. I say $50, but it's $50 million. Okay, all right. But we're talking about like 4 times as much for marketing. And that's a whole nother like discussion I think that's worth having is why? why is that such a huge difference? And why is it so much? Because honestly, with all the tools and stuff that are out for indie developers, I kind of get to a point where I think that that is the difference. That's the difference between AAA and an indie game, or AAA and maybe a single A. Do you just call those A games? Just double A? Is there a single A? I guess single A would be indie games, and double A is like fucking Technomancer and shit like that. I don't know. Anywho, I think that's the difference between those games is like just the marketing cost, because that's the only thing that, like, it's insane. Anywho, just for inflation, that's about $285 million that are dumped there. So, let's compare that. That's 2009. What do we have here? No, not Fable Legends. I want to find one that's a little bit more recent. Let's look at Phantom Pain. Phantom Pain might be an odd case because they're not going to show you. Yeah, they're not going to show the marketing cost because Kojima, fucking Konami they don't need to do that. They don't give a shit. Destiny. Maybe Destiny might help. No. Looks like, wow. Okay, maybe my initial theory might be getting proven wrong here because it looks like it might be going the opposite direction. Well, it looks like my theory might actually be getting disproved because you compare something like Call of Duty back in the day, definitely not the scope of Grand Theft Auto 5, but Grand Theft Auto 5 is not that far off from the cost of the games. You have $278 million versus $285 million. The fact that Grand Theft Auto costs less is kind of like, it's almost like it's going against my initial theory, which kind of makes me really side with the loud majority now, which, if this is true, which it seems to be the case, I mean, the games that it has here are not the best, really. Let me see if I can find one from the similar studios. Oh my god. Oh my god. The fact that they're willing to publish an article that says, yes, AAA single player games are dying, and that's fine. That's not fine. That's not okay at all. That makes me sad, though. I can't find the information that I would like to find. With just this extremely basic ass list that I have here, maybe there is some credit to this complaint about the cost of games. So let's have a look at this article from Kotaku. There we go. All right. What's this? No, this is actually Forbes. My bad. I forgot about how annoying these ads were, and that's why. There's been a debate over the price of video games for a long time now. On one hand, some may have perfectly reasonable argument that games cost $60 for a very long time, and that inflation, risk, and development ought to be priced accordingly. That was my initial investment. Why should you? As it happens, there's some perfect good reason why video games shouldn't cost more than $60. But probably ought to be cheaper. All right. I mean, that's what the information I just saw would say. Okay, so first off, I don't like the fact that this article first was like, hey man, 60 sticker die price, just want to sell revenue streams for video games these days. Other revenue comes from add-ons like DLC, man, season pass, microtransactions. Yeah, dude, just go ahead and do that. But we're going to still write an article about it when you do it and be really complaining about it. So I don't know. I don't feel like you don't get to argue that 60 is okay because of DLC, and then also turn around and say, I paid $6 for this game. I don't want to pay for season pass. It's like, pick one. You don't get to argue for both sides. But regardless, I continue. Digital drastically lowers costs for. Yeah. Okay. So this is something that's kind of worth talking about too. So I am one of the consumers that I pretty much bought all of my stuff digitally now. It's been a while since I bought a physical game. The only physical game I've bought two, and that was just for the Switch. And that was mostly because I wasn't sure if I was going to even stick with the Switch. Turns out I didn't. Got rid of it. Probably pick it up when Smash Brothers comes back out, or whenever it comes out, or whatever the fuck. But anyway, I did decide I got rid of mine, mostly just because there were not any compelling games that were on the system for me personally. I played all the ones that I was really excited about. Played Zelda, played Mario, played ARMS, and nothing else really excited me. So, anywho, those are and that was 2 or 3 $60 games, and when I was done with them, traded them back into GameStop, got some store credit, bought some Steam cards, and then I bought more digital games. So I'm that consumer that buys a lot of their stuff digitally, and I do think that if I'm buying a game digitally, it doesn't really make much sense for you to still charge me $60 from a consumer standpoint. From a business standpoint, totally understand. You want to make as much money as you possibly want to make, get that. But from a consumer standpoint, it's like, all right, so you can tell me all the reasons why this thing costs $60. You got your deals with the retail outlets that are selling your games. They get a cut. You have your publishers. They get a cut. And you can argue that part of that comes. I just realized I'm talking this whole time without fucking doing the thing. Whatever. You can argue that part of that comes from Steam is the retail outlet. So there would still be that cut. And that's somewhat of a valid argument, because it really just boils down to how much of a cut Steam is taking from you. Steam, in an ideal world, should not be taking the same amount of cut that, say, GameStop or Walmart or Best Buy takes, because they have overhead. There's physical things that have to be shipped. When I'm buying essentially the licensing right to play your game on my computer or computers, seems like it should be cheaper. That being said, Steam does a lot of sales, and on a lot of games that are like not old. So maybe that happens, and they kind of just do the $60 as like, all right, we'll get the people who don't give a shit, and then we'll wait 3 months or 2 months, and then we'll get the people who, for the actual price of the game when we do a summer or winter sale or whatever. Which, if that's the case, sure, that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that practice. There are some games that I'm going to be extremely excited about that I'm just going to buy at the $60 price, and for me, those extra $15 or $20, I don't care, because the wanting of the game is enough that I can ignore that. There are some games though, like Shadow War, that I haven't picked up yet, even though it was on sale. I'm waiting for the next one, just because it's not a game that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to really sink amount of time into that would be worth the $40 or $60 for it or whatever. There are some games too. I guess I'm going to save that for another show. I was thinking along the lines of what are they called? Remakes? I don't know, digital remasters, whatever the hell those are, and what kind of state that kind of does on prices of games and whatnot. There's a lot of them that come out that are like the same price, like $60 remasters. Not okay in my opinion, but yeah. But anywho, back to what this thing was talking about. Distributing drastically lowers costs, kills off the used game market. I'm gonna talk about that in a different video too. I think the used game market is a hilarious instance of like when somebody really wants to make a lot of money and they don't give a shit about who it fucks over. Like that's the GameStop story. More expensive games could scare away players. Yeah, that's what I was talking about at the start of this thing. Making a game $70 or $80, a lot of people won't buy that. I assure you, a lot of people will not buy that. So they just have 3 reasons. That's definitely worth the subscription to Forbes right there. That's true value. That's what you get for your buck there. I don't know. I think that it's definitely something worth thinking about, or at least talking about. I find it hard to believe this scale, to be honest with you. It's tough to look at this and go, how? Like how is that even possible for something that is developed in 2015 to cost the same amount as something that was developed in 1997? That's crazy to me. Um, then again, I think some of the things that they have on this list may be telling. You have a studio who has not been doing really well for Gears of War. You have Witcher 3, a self-developed and published game. What I would love to see are the ones that are not that case. So like you have like, which sucks because they won't show the marketing costs for all of these, which is really stupid. I wish they would. Yeah, they're not. The ones that have marketing costs. Rift. Oh yeah. See, like this is a completely different topic now. But like if you look at Rift, this is a triple. You got Tryon Worlds, company that's been making games for a long time. They publish it, self-publish it, no problem. All right, $50 million in development costs, $20 million in marketing. Game dies immediately. Like it's just like that's what makes or breaks a game now. It's like did your marketing team do a good job? Doesn't matter how good the game is. Did the marketing team? Granted, a lot of this stuff came out before the whole what's community funding like epidemic. Epidemic. It's not a bad thing in theory, but things like that it came around on the scene. So maybe games like that would have benefited from stuff like that. Probably would say that's the case. I wish, like again with Watch Dogs, they don't show the time on that, which is a little sad. But regardless, I don't know. It definitely sucks. Having to buy like loot crates and stuff like that on one hand, but on the other, the reason why I don't mind it is because I look at it from their perspective on like, shit, we really need to make more money out of the $60 because of whatever the reason, whether the marketing cost, maybe that's the reason why people don't want to put marketing on their stuff, is because it probably costs a fuck ton. If we were to go with that assumption that the marketing costs on things have gone up, then yeah, that would make a 100% sense why games cost more nowadays. Maybe that's the thing that went up. If that is the case, then the argument that I initially stated still stands of the games just cost more. They cost more to make. And by make, I mean market too. Because like with the case of Rift, if you don't market, your game will not do well. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think, though. I guess as a final thing, as far as these little snippets of video or audio, where I'm really not sure how I'm going to end up putting these out. I do want to make them weekly though, and I would love for you guys to maybe tweet me some stuff that you think is worth talking about. I used to do this live, and I'm not against it. I just kind of feel like it sucks for all of you guys who are watching this after the fact, and it feels a little uninclusive, for lack of a better term, to be having a conversation with somebody who is not you while trying to have a conversation with you, if that makes any sense. So we'll figure it out, see which one works better. This has only been like, I've only been recording for like maybe 40 minutes. I would like for these to end up being roughly an hour's worth of raw recording, and then maybe cut it down to the good bits, which I intend on doing with this if I do leave this part in. And otherwise, you won't know, and it'll just be real cool, and it'll be nice and short and sweet. But yeah, I am extremely curious about what you guys think about the cost of games. Should it go up? Should it stay the same? Are you okay with microtransactions? Are you okay with season passes? I'm genuinely curious to know what you guys think. Maybe we revisit this topic at some point. Hopefully we can revisit it. That'd be nice. As far as Joe's World and what's going on in it, definitely if you're only watching on YouTube, you should definitely check out Twitch. It's a really cool place where I stream stuff, and by stuff I mean games. A lot of games as far as what I am streaming. Right now I'm playing a lot of Laser League. That game's pretty fun, and it's kind of new, and it's fresh. I've also been kind of going through this whole weird time of like, nothing is interesting me. I kind of feel like an emo kid. It's really bad. Like I'll hop onto Steam and I'm just like, yep, I've played something like that already. Played something like that already. Played something like that already. It's just like it's really hard to find a game that I think is genuinely going to give me, whether it's a unique story, unique gameplay. There's just not a lot of it right now. A lot of games are like just cookie cutters of things that have already been played. I also will go ahead and give you a mild warning. If you like PUBG and games like that, I probably won't be playing them. Sorry. I say that, but I could end up playing them if I have enough friends that are willing to play them. For me, those games are like super social games. I don't know. Like they're extremely boring to play alone. They're almost even boring to play with people, but as long as the people that I'm playing with make it fun, like some of the friends I have on Twitch, Mixer, they make it fun because it's funny to play with those guys. But yeah, definitely stop by there if you didn't know that was a thing that I do. It is a thing that I do. It is the same. It's twitch.tv/justjoe. Also probably put a link there in the description. I think I said that already. Maybe I'll cut this part out. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it in and I'll just say it twice because I'm a greedy bastard and I want everybody to watch my shit. I want to try to upload these videos on probably every Monday. It's probably when I'll probably start putting these out. Maybe we'll start making more videos. I'd love to make more videos. Honestly, I miss a lot of what I used to do with InfoSauce. Unfortunately, that group kind of disbanded. And I just miss talking about this kind of stuff. A lot of it was fun with the people that I was working with at the time. But also a lot of it was fun just talking with you guys, the audience, and about like just bouncing ideas. So I will probably implement a couple episodes where I will get like maybe somebody who's super prominent, talking in comments or talking in Twitch chat or whatever, to come on one of these shows and just we can talk about it. We can talk about whatever topics I have lined up. I think that'd be cool. I think that would be really, really cool, actually. Weekend stuff. So normally I work on the weekends, so you probably won't see a lot of streams or anything go out on the weekends, just because I'll usually be out of town. Like this weekend, I'll be out of town. I think the next 4 weekends I'll probably be out of town. But after that, I may pop up here or there for some streams or maybe some surprise videos or whatever. I want to put like little vlogs and stuff together of when I'm out of town, because I think some of the towns I go to are just generally neat and cool. But I don't know if you guys would prefer me to make a different channel for that. I've seen that's kind of the trend, where all the cool kids do on YouTube is they just do like a vlog channel. I kind of feel like I don't really have, there's no reason for me to do that. Yeah, I'll probably stick it all on one channel for now. But you can tell me about that in comments too if you want to. Anywho, it is over 45 minutes. I still have to catch a plane in about... That's like the beginning of that Blue song. I still have to catch a plane in like 3.5 hours, which kind of sucks. But I was just tired, or I was just restless. I couldn't sleep. So I was like, let's do this thing, and I can edit this over the weekend. It'll be fun. I feel like I'm forgetting something, and I'm gonna be really upset. And I really don't want to have to record it with my Rode mic, because I really like this microphone. And I like the way it makes me sound. But I'm probably going to end up having to do that. That's probably what's going to have to happen. In any case, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.